Arnie.com. Arnie Guest Goldsmith of Chattanooga.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
If the South would have won, we'd have had it made. I'd probably run for president of the Southern states. The day Elvis passed away would be our national holiday. If the South would have won, we'd have had it made.
NASCAR, Laura Ingraham, David Tulis, Coast to Coast AM, and CBS Radio News. Chattanooga's news, talk, and sports leader.
News Talk 1240. Good afternoon. It's Hot News Talk Radio, 1240 AM. This is the Entrepreneur Hour with Bruce Krebs. I'm glad you could join us today. As usual, we're going to talk about a wide variety of subjects about people who would like to think about going into business for themselves. So today we're going to have another discussion, as we do every 2 weeks, about why would you like to think about going into business for yourself? What's involved? How do you do it? How do you finance it? What is the entire process to think about if you go into business for yourself? And with me today is Sab, who is the owner of this station. And Sab, how are you today?
Great. Thank you for inviting me along here.
No
I
problem.
Appreciate it. We've had a lot of discussions about this in your office, on and off the air. And I just find you amazing. And I'm not kissing up because I meet business people every day, but it's very few people can put individuals into multitask type businesses where normally, like I'm radio. And anytime I try to go outside this, it doesn't work. And there's a show called The Prophet, where this guy can put people into restaurants, and he goes to car dealerships and just a plethora of variety of businesses, and does it well. And this is how I view you, is that you can look beyond just one type of franchise into thousands and match that person with that franchise. That's a talent. I don't think you can learn that. That's knowing people.
Well, what's really interesting is most people would love to be in business for themselves, but they're scared to death. And it's a fear of the unknown. It's that fear of losing a steady paycheck. And what's amazing to me is over the last 13 years, the majority of the clients come to me and they're scared. But more than scared, they basically either aren't making enough money, or they hate their job, or they hate their boss, or they don't like what they're doing, or they don't see that financially what they're making is going to get them to their goals in life, or retirement, or whatever the situation is. So it is a fact that 75% of Americans want to be self-employed. Now, most people want to look at a franchise because it's safer, because you get a proven system to follow. Now, to me, what's scary is going into business for yourself, starting something from scratch. Because if you start something from scratch, there is an 82% failure rate in 3 years. Because you have to figure everything out. You got to figure out how to get your clients and customers, the marketing piece of the business, how to deliver your products and services, the whole estimating, billing, collection side of it, your reason to be against the competition. And normally by the time you figure all that out, you run out of money.
Bruce, you and I have seen this over the years because I deal with clients every single day, and I've done this for 40 years. Like you said, many of them go out of business the first or second year, and they're getting into a business because they've always wanted to do it, or their dad or mom have done it, but they never worked in it, or they don't want to work for someone else. They get a windfall of cash, their husband or wife dies, or an opportunity arises where they've worked in the business and now they want to own it, but still they're not properly trained to be owners. It is so important to have that model. I can tell you this, I've been in radio since I was 16. I followed the same model I learned from when I was a teenager with radio, as far as how to structure it, whether it's music or talk. or whatever it happens to be. It is a formula, and it's a formula that works not because I developed it, because people a lot smarter than me developed it. You're following a proven system that works. Why try to reinvent the wheel? That's not to say if somebody has a great idea, don't utilize that idea, but use that idea within a structure and a system that has been successful. If you want to be successful, you hang around successful people. You look at successful businesses. Look at Walmart, the biggest retailer in the world. If you want to be like Walmart, be like Walmart. Don't complain that, oh, Walmart is putting me out of business. They blah, blah, blah. Well, you buy 600,000 pieces of an item and risk losing millions of dollars.
Right.
You stay open 24 hours a day. Here's what I'm disappointed in with businesses, and I don't see this with franchise businesses, but with a lot of just local mom and pops, they're not there. They're not there. We're in the business of selling commercials. Well, I would say 80 to 90% of the owners aren't there. You have to show up to be successful.
Right. You got to run you got to really work on your business, not in it. And that's an interesting comment and thought process is many people, when they go into business for themselves, they are control freaks, normally type A personalities, and they're control freaks, and they have to handle every part of the business instead of working on the business, meaning going out and meeting the customers and getting, in your case, selling the commercials and hire people to do things on a daily basis and empower them and delegate to them and let them do it so you can free yourself up to work on the business instead of in it.
And don't expect perfection.
Exactly. And you're not going to get perfection. No question. But on the other hand, when someone's a control freak and has to handle every detail, there's not going to be enough hours in the day.
Right.
You have to get the right team around you. And that's what made me successful in corporate America. Not that I was a brilliant manager, but what I was very good at is hiring the right team and then empowering them to make the decisions. And I would monitor and measure that. And having the right team, if you look at our government, which I don't use as an example, but the good parts of our government is where there's a good team in place. But if you look at corporate America, what makes General Electric or whatever the corporation is a great corporation is because the leader is a leader instead of a control freak or a narcissist who's going to not empower the people to get the right people, empower them to do the job.
They follow a system that works and understand that they are servants. The most successful business people I've ever met know that they're servants.
Right.
That you're serving your client. You're serving the customer. You're serving your employees. You're serving your private contractors. You're a servant to your business. You're not the boss. You're the slave, because it's your job to serve and serve them better and look at the entire picture. Where you talked about, and this is a prime example of government, I'm going to throw out EPB. And EPB was the one structure that threw my philosophy off, that all government is evil and that socialism fails. When I'm looking at EPB as socialist system, government control over production and distribution, but for some reason it works. I mean, they blow away all these corporate competitors. And here's the key, and this is what you're talking about. The people make the difference. EPB in any other city of this country would fail. It's because Chattanoogans are the way they are. They're caring people, they're loving people, they're Christian people, they're forgiving people. They care. They treat EPB as their own. And listen, EPB doesn't advertise with us, but I'm just saying, I'm seeing a socialist structure there because of the people, the uniqueness of it. That works.
But I'll tell you where I differ with you. If the CEO or COO of EPB had a different mentality about hiring the right people and empowering them to do the work, no matter how much they cared, they couldn't be successful. So in any successful company, it starts at the top. Because the CEO, management team, whatever, they have to be enabled to do their job instead of being controlled or being told what to do or being fearful. And a lot of companies, people live in fear of making a wrong decision, so they'll make no decision. And you see that in company after company that's not successful, right? So, but the really good companies like EPB, you're exactly right. The leadership has taken the position that I'm going to get the right people and let them do their jobs and then monitor and measure their performance. That is rare in many companies today in corporate America.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely.
You know, in many cases, your employer or your private contractor will have a better idea than you because they're in the trenches, and ask for their ideas, but do not abandon the structure of the franchise. Do not abandon. A client of mine down in Florida had a Quiznos, and he had a better idea on sauces. And he went against the corporate. Corporate came after him. They said, you can't do this. The franchisor said, you can't do this.
Right.
You can't go away from this. And there's a good reason for that. Because if I get Quiznos sauce in Chattanooga, I want the same sauce in Nashville.
Exactly.
You can go to McDonald's anywhere in the world. You're going to get the same quarter pounder with cheese. It's not going to taste different. It's going to be exactly the same. And that's what's important about franchising. It's a successful model that you're emulating, but won't work unless you do.
That's why I always say an entrepreneur should never buy a franchise, because an entrepreneur is going to go buy a franchise and then go do it their way, and they're going to crash and burn.
Right.
My only clients have failed, which only a few, are entrepreneurs, because they don't do what they need to do to be successful. Now, when you think of the franchising world, yeah, only 8% of franchising is food. And there is 6,900 franchises in 115 industries. But on the other hand, most people don't understand the magnitude of franchising, meaning all the pro sports leagues, NFL, baseball, hockey, they're franchises. You can't buy the Tennessee Titans team. You can buy a franchise to own a Tennessee Titans franchise. Now, there's an equity bill, but again, there's guardrails you have to, and rules and regulations you have to follow. If you look at Coca-Cola, it's a franchise, all right? Or Singer Sewing Machine, and it can go on to the franchises that are out there that aren't food. But there's definitely people buy that because they want the structure, that system to follow, rather than trying to reinvent it themselves.
But the key is the franchise that fits you, and this is where Bruce comes in. We've had long conversations about this because we love business. We love being our own bosses. We love making people successful. Bruce and I have talked about the person meeting their needs, and not only their needs, their wants and their desires. If you just look over the internet, you'll see thousands of franchises, franchise possibilities, and may say, oh, you know what? I've always wanted to do this. And then dump a bunch of money into it and do it, not knowing that really that's not really what you wanted to do.
Right.
You may think you want to do that, but this may suit your personality, your needs, your schedule better, because you may have 5 kids, you may have no kids. If you're single and not married, no children, another business may better suit you, as opposed to you need to have Saturdays and Sundays off.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I meet with my clients, I get all that criteria. I'll give you a perfect example. I had a woman come into me yesterday, and she had left corporate America, had been a teacher, left teaching because she has a 1-year-old, but she wants to be still involved in doing something on her own, and she wants to be able to have a flexible schedule and do something 20, 25 hours a week. And when her child's in daycare, but she wants to use her brain and stay active and stay involved and make money. But more than anything, she wants that flexible schedule, and she wants to do something she enjoys doing. Now, when you really dig into what she enjoys doing, she was a teacher, so she has to care about people, working with people, helping kids, helping others. But at the end of the day, she's also a project manager. She also cares about the environment. There's all kinds of different criteria. But then when I looked at her DISC profile, which I give my clients DISC, which is kind of like Myers-Briggs, she really doesn't have detail attributes and detail skills where you think a teacher does. She didn't. She was just adapting her personality. So when I looked at that, I realized that she needed something where she's around people, because being an extrovert, she draws energy from being around people and doesn't like detail. So something that's pretty free of detail is really important, or a very minute amount of detail. So when you add up all these ingredients, I gave her 5 ideas of things that I think fit all of her criteria. And she said, Bruce, I'm blown away. I would have never thought about one of these things, but they all fit my personality and I enjoy doing them. And that's the object of what I'm trying to do, is just to show my clients what's out there, because everybody says, oh, I'd like to do something on my own. And then they get afraid and they get lost because they don't know who's good and who's right. And that's where, as a franchise consultant and a business coach, I help my clients look at all those options. And there's absolutely no risk, cost, or obligation because my services are free. Because I get paid like a head honor.
Bruce Krebs Entrepreneur Hour here at Hot News Talk Radio at hotnewstalkradio.com. You can watch us live right now anywhere in the world. If you have YouTube, we're streaming at Hot News Talk Radio, hotnewstalkradio.com over the net. And we're on Twitter. Go to Hot News Talk Radio. You can check us out anywhere technologically, especially on your smartphone. Download the TuneIn app and plug in Hot News Talk Radio, and you have like an old transistor radio. Walk around for free listening to Hot News Talk Radio. Bruce, I find it amazing that over the years I met a lot of employees, a lot of very talented people that are afraid to make the plunge. And it is fear. And you have to be fearless because, listen, you live one life. It's not about money. And this is the problem with our republic. We're trained that it's all about money, the bigger house, the bigger car, the bigger. At one time, I'm going to give you my example. I ended up at a few radio stations and, whatever. And I'm literally sleeping on the control room floor because I wanted to make sure my station didn't go off the air. It wasn't about, I didn't look at my bottom line, how much of my station's worth, how much of this, how much is that. You have to love doing what you're doing and helping people. This station, as an example, is that we're not doing a necessary format that's going to be number one. We want to do what helps people, what helps businesses, and gets this country straight, bringing it back to its right path, the constitutional republic we're supposed to be. That's why we do what we do, surrounded with, one of the greatest men I ever met, David Tulis, Eric Judd, people like you, and Russell. I mean, I'm blessed to be around smart people.
But you've done that. It goes back to
I made the decision to do this.
Yeah, but you hired the right people, and you're you're empowering them to do what they do well. That's a critical part of leadership and owning a company in whatever it is you do. But if you go back just a second, I've helped 630 people into business for themselves, and it's created 4,200 jobs. Now, if you look at that, I'm proud of that. But what holds people back from at least even looking into doing something on your own, let alone doing it? There's two major reasons. Fear, which is the acronym for false evidence appearing real, because you don't know what's out there. You don't have what kind of things that are out there. Two is you think that you can't get the kind of money you need to pay for your startup and pay yourself a salary through the startup. And that's no longer true with the new SBA loan programs that are available, where you can get $100,000 to $150,000 on your signature with no pledge of collateral or money down. But the other thing that's so important is criteria. I don't like food because you have a horrible failure rate. I don't like retail because of overhead. But when you look at a business, and if you can have something that isn't affected by the economy, that has low overhead, that has repeat business, and you have a strong reason to be against the competition, and a franchisor has a very powerful marketing program to start getting you business from day one, you don't eliminate risk, but you mitigate risk. And particularly if you have something with repeat business, the repeat business starting in month 2 or 3 is a steady paycheck. I just had a client that went into a business, just finished his 6th week. He has booked 1-year contracts with 6 local companies for $18,400 a month, which 50% of it's labor, and he gets the other 50%. So he has a steady paycheck of $9,000 a month for the next 12 months, and then he's going to grow it. All right. In this case, the franchisor made all the appointments. They went out on the appointments with him, got him that business. So he now has a steady paycheck, and he's an ex-TVA. He got downsized out of TVA because, you get over 55 and some things happen in many corporations where they let you go. And he was one of them. And when I first started to talk to him, he had no idea that there could be something that he could start to make money at in his 2nd month, but have a steady income, which he now has because of the franchisor's national accounts and setting appointments, going out on the calls with him. He's got contracts from local companies, and he's growing it every week from this point on. That's just unheard of.
That's amazing. And that happened recently.
Just happened. Yep.
Well, but my point of my story was that you don't have to be afraid.
No.
Because good people will find you. You don't find them, they'll find you. And the franchising you do is very individualistic. We don't want you to think about having to hire 5, 10, 15, 20 employees. It's about you making the decision to make the choice and not being afraid. And the fear comes from lack of faith. You have to have faith
in yourself.
Well, not only in yourself, in the belief that there's a God that's going to be there with you.
And
so you have to have, you have to have that faith, and then faith and belief in yourself and the plan. Now, you can't give them the faith. They have to know it's there. They have to believe in themselves. But making the first step is the most important thing. And I'm just telling you this in dealing with business people for over 40 years. That's what I do. You have to take the step. It's not going to cost you anything, because what we're trying to do, and here's my selfishness, I want people to stop being involved in the national economy. I don't want them to work for big major corporations. I want everyone to be self-employed and to keep their money, not to fund this federal beast. That's where my selfishness comes in. That's where my philosophy comes in. So I want you to start your own business, not only to help you and your family, but to help our republic, especially if you claim to be a Christian.
Well, yeah.
But here's where I just want to say, here's where Bruce comes in. I see the risk is minimal based on your success and the fact that if you have good credit, you get over $100,000.
Right.
Where is the risk?
None.
You're walking in and saying, Bruce, you're my life coach. On my good signature, I can get over $100,000 to do something I've been thinking about my entire life. And then you take over and say to me, what? What do you say to me? I walk into your door and I say, I've been wanting to do this. And on my good signature, you said you can get me over $100,000. It's going to cost me nothing to take the step. Bruce, where do I go from here? What are you going to do for me?
Well, what I'm going to do is we're going to meet for many hours, because I've got to find out, what are you good at, and what are your transferable skills and strengths. More so, as we just talked, I've got to find out what you enjoy doing every day from a business standpoint. It also gets into the lifestyle you want. No nights or weekends or flexible schedule during the day. You got to find out what you're going to be doing in the business. Are you want to go out and call on customers and do the customer service and estimating? Or are you a good project manager? Or you want to handle the detail? Do you want to get people that are doing the work, like contractors that are doing the work, and you're just giving them a schedule to go out and do the work, and then you're doing the quality control? You know, you got to really figure out what you're going to do in the business, and let alone the money you want to make, and of course the lifestyle you want. The equity build is a big issue too. And besides your DISC profile, I give my clients what they call PIAV, which is personality, interest, attributes, and values. And you need so much information, because for me to come up with ideas of things that I think that are going to fit you, I have to really peel the onion. I've got to really figure out what makes you tick. And then I've got to give you a bunch of ideas, and I'm going to give you 4, 5, 6 different ideas that fit all your criteria. And then you're going to simply decide who you want to start to talk to. And I can tell you, this process takes 3 months to 4 months. This is not where I show you a bunch of things and you say, great, and you decide which one you want to do. That doesn't happen. The analogy I would give you, this is a long dating process, and you don't decide to get married until you've had a whole lot of dates. Finding the right business is exactly the same thing. You have to have a series of conversations with franchisors and franchisees and visits, and then you have to put together, which I help you do, financial projections, a pro forma, which gives you an estimate based on what you found out on your own about the sales and cost and profits that you can make. And then, you know, you've got all kinds of things that I help you with, of setting up your corporate entity and getting with a CPA, and business licenses and all that stuff that creates so much fear. I'm going to help you do all that.
And my cost will be
absolutely nothing.
Right, because you get paid by the individual
franchisor
once they decide to go with that particular franchise.
That's correct.
Because your business is also a franchise.
That's correct. The Entrepreneur Source has been in business 31 years.
Let's talk about some of the types of franchises that are out there, the types that you recommend.
Well, again, there's very few, and that's what I have to preface. If you look at 6,900 franchises in 115 industries, they don't fit the criteria we just talked about the economy and repeat business and really the good franchisors. There's probably less than 30 today that I would show clients today, right? Because they just don't have all that criteria. And I'm not going to show something to a client where I think there's any chance at all they're going to fail. All right. And now it's up to them at the end if they're going to be successful or not. But at the end of the day, you have to set yourself up for success. All right. And a lot of that is the true demographics for the business and the amount of potential clients and customers, the demographics for this area. So, when you look at that, when you look at something that is that kind of business, I just had a client that I was just talking to you about that just booked $18,400 a month. The business he's in is in the truck washing business. Now, you laugh, but let's just think about how semis get washed. Right now, everybody that has a truck, I don't care if it's a trucking company like U Express or Covenant, or it's somebody who's manufacturing product and trucking it, they're going to get that truck washed every 2 to 4 weeks. But what they have to do is have a driver drive it off their lot, go to a drive-through truck wash, wait in line, drive back. It's going to take 2.5, 3 hours. It uses 160 gallons of water to wash a semi-truck, and it doesn't get clean inside. That's only the outside. His company, called Detail Experts, what they do is his technicians, two-man crews, they have a patented steam cleaning process. They go onto the trucking company's lot, and they will steam clean that truck on the outside and get all the grit, grime, dirt, bugs off it, but they'll also clean the inside of a truck with steam, and they sanitize it and deodorize it, which is literally at the same price as that drive-through wash, but it uses 4 gallons of water.
Oh, wow.
All right?
Wow.
So it's environmental friendly.
Right.
Now, but the truck never has to move. Now, in addition to trucks and semis, they do any vehicle. They'll do limos. They'll do taxis. They'll do UPS vans. They'll do Comcast vans. They'll do boats. They'll do school buses. You just got a contract to do school buses. And in addition to that, they will do cars, and particularly rental cars, where rental cars, as an example, they'll do their own on the outside, but they come in and do the insides once a month. So, but it's all repeat business every 2 to 4 weeks, and literally at the same price. But there's from an environmental friendly standpoint, it's going to use 4 gallons of water. Now, it just like with cars, they can do 16 cars with 2 gallons of water, but they remove all the bugs and contaminants and tar and grease and so forth without damaging the paint. So that's a business where he makes the calls. Now, the franchisor sets all his appointments. He makes the calls and goes and gets the contracts, and then he has technicians that go in and do the work, but he just gives them a schedule of what to do every 2 to 4 weeks on a repeat business. And so that's the kind of thing that I really like, because there's no competition. There is nothing like it. They have a patented process.
Bruce Krebs, Entrepreneur Hour, Hot News Talk Radio. Your website?
My website is www.theesource, E as in entrepreneur, esource.com/B as in Bruce, Krebs, Krebs.
And your phone number?
423-875-5621.
Bruce Krebs, what are your 5 favorite franchises?
My 5 favorite franchises are one of them I just mentioned, the Detail Experts. 2 is Dentist Choice, which we can talk more about after the break. I'll explain that to you. Handyman Matters, which I have a client doing phenomenal here. 2 clients doing great here. And a new one called the Flying Locksmith that does business to business, not only locksmiths, but all your security, your cameras, your internet, your remote keypads, and all kinds of different things. I have a client just going into it. So those are my favorite ones.
This is an exciting time in America. This is going to be known as the entrepreneur era. We're going from a manufacturing republic where we're going to let the other countries that pay 10 cents an hour do all that hard work. And we're going to more of a service-oriented country. And entrepreneurs are just exploding at the – listen, back in the 70s, unless you were a multi-millionaire, you couldn't own a radio station. It was owned by the big guys. You couldn't have a steel plant. You could – these things were out of reach. You worked for these people for 35 years, and then hopefully you made it to retirement age at 65 to get a pension that wasn't there because they went bankrupt. And your Social Security check doesn't even pay your bills.
Right.
You know, planning for a future like that, to me, that's darkness. We're basically the same age in our 50s. That's what we were raised with. I'm like, I'd rather be dead. I'd rather be dead. But now we're in an era where the entrepreneur can shine, where guys like you, Bruce Krebs, can look at what my talent is, what I really want, what I want to give back to the public to thrive and eventually maybe even retire on. How can I retire? I like to tell business people that, you know, you basically bought a job. You're working for your own paycheck, but you get to control it.
You're getting rented by a corporate entity.
But in the end, if you build a list and you build value, you can sell this and retire.
Let's pause on that a minute. What we're really talking about here is many people, yes, they want a steady paycheck and that's security, but they know they're not in control of their own destiny. And they can't be self-sufficient, and we're an at-will state, all right? Anybody can be let go at any time for any reason, all right? I just had a client that was working for a company, and they cut his territory in half, cut his commissions in half, and then that went on for a couple months, and he walked in the door on Monday morning, and the owner told all the employees, I'm letting you go, because corporate in Pennsylvania decided to shut down the Chattanooga office. Now, to be so vulnerable, nobody wants to be that vulnerable. So what we're really talking about today is controlling your own destiny and being self-sufficient. That's really what this is all about. Now, going back to what you just said, I just had a client, went into business 6 years ago, cost him less than $75,000. By year 3, he was making $350,000 a year net profit after all expenses. He came to me a couple months ago and said, Bruce, I want to sell my business. He just sold it to another client of mine for $1.2 million.
There you go.
That's equity build. All right. And I know I just had another one that, you know, it was a smaller scale, but he just sold it for $325,000. And that's going to be his retirement. That's going to be his nest egg. And he's made great money through the years and had great tax breaks, but he sold it for an equity build, and now he wants to do something part-time in retirement, and we're going to find him something else. So the issue is, whatever your criteria is, there's something out there that will fit your criteria.
Can they not also, because I've heard people talk in terms of they're afraid to possibly build a business and sell it because, you know, of $1 million windfall, a $2,500,000 windfall. You also want to think in terms of monthly payments, that you may end up with someone that you trust that works for your business, whereby you can say, give me so much down, borrow the money, give me $1,000 a month, give me $2,000 a month, give me $3,000 a month. The idea that no one's ever going to buy your business and can plop down $1 million, $2,500,000 is not necessarily true. That person that you have working for you, if you only need $1,000 a month to live or $5,000 a month, you can arrange those types of deals. So you have to think out of the box.
Well, yeah, what you're talking about, it technically is a leverage buyout situation. All right. And I have many clients that come to me and say, okay, I want to retire 8 years, 10 years in the business. And I help them find one of my clients or their employees, whatever, where the incentive, one of the employees or the owner will give them 10% down. All right. And then they get a percentage of the profits, because they're going to get 10% of the profits. And then they work out an arrangement of sweat equity, which basically means they'll get 5% ownership in the business for every $100,000 in net profit. And that'll go until they reach 50%. And then from that point on, a formula goes a little bit different. And that formula can be the owner who's selling it then will get literally a pension from the business, might be $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, whatever it is, until the price of the business, which has been settled, is paid for. So let's just say the business is $500,000 and you're getting $50,000 a year, 10 years, the business is paid for, but it's paid for by the new owner out of the profits of the business. So there's a lot of different ways to structure those kinds of leverage buyouts instead of getting an SBA loan for $1 million or whatever the number happens to be. So there's a lot of different ways my father sold his business that way to the two young men that work for him. And my mother got an income stream for 22 years. So there's all kinds of different ways to structure something, but it all goes back to a basic philosophy is you have to learn more to earn more. And whether it's coming to see me
or wherever you go in life, you have to come out of your comfort zone and explore things. That's what you have to do. You have to basically learn more about how to do things and how to get things done, and just to learn. People go to school. People educate themselves. They take classes. They do all sorts of different things, but they don't take the initiative to come and see me, as an example, to learn more. And I have to tell you, it isn't just full-time. I help people that want to do something full-time, definitely. But there's other people, like I just explained, the nurse that just came to me, or teacher that just came to me, she wants to do something 20, 25 hours a week. There's other people that say, I want to do something part-time. I want to keep my job. My wife and I are working, but we have 5 or 10 hours a week. All right. And basically, it's something you can oversee 5, 10 hours a week and still make great income, because you're going to have a manager in place. In fact, from our studio, a half a mile away, there's a good example of that, where I have a client that they're both senior executives in a local company here, and they opened a My Salon Suites, which helps hairdressers own their own business and so forth. And they still have full-time jobs, and they're doing very well, but they're also helping people get into business for themselves in a wonderful environment. So again, it isn't just looking at things that are full-time. It's part-time, it's passive, it's things that are once every 90 days. There's one opportunity that you just have an event once every 90 days, and it takes you 20 hours every 90 days. Now, are you going to make a tremendous amount of money? No. But on the other hand, you're going to have a very minimal investment for a decent return on your money, which is going to be better than you're getting in the stock market. But, there's all kinds of different things, is what I'm really trying to say. It isn't just buying McDonald's.
Well, you're driving down the road in that truck thinking, do I want to do this? Yeah, I see my kids a couple of days a week. Or you're in your car going to the store, maybe picking up some groceries, or in an office, and you're like, this is my life for the rest of my life. This is my life for a paycheck, working Monday through Friday to maybe get a Saturday. This is my life. And until I statistically die at 65 or 70, or a meteor falls out of the sky, not living every moment to your full potential. And you need to look into the mirror and go, I've always wanted to do this. This is exciting. It's not going to cost me any money. I want to make the plunge. I want to talk to someone who's an expert in this area for free. If not for anything, to gain some extra knowledge. I mean, life experience is what we should always be seeking every day in learning and being educated and in changing our minds. There's an old saying, if you haven't changed your mind in the past 30 days, pinch yourself, you're probably dead. And this is an opportunity to say enough is enough is enough. That I've had it, that I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do it today to better my family's life, to better my life, to better the country's life. And I can do it. You have to believe in yourself that you can do it. It's the Entrepreneur Hour with Bruce Krebs, who's an expert in this area. Hot News Talk Radio and hotnewstalkradio.com. We're going to give you some great advice from people that love this radio station and love you and serve the community by what they do, selling their goods and services. And then when I come back, I want to role play a little bit. I'm going to be that person that is about to take the plunge. And I gave you a call and knocked on the door, and I'm going to sit with you, and I want you to help me out of my dilemma.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Absolutely.
After these at Hot News Talk Radio at 11, at 12:40, and 5 o'clock today. Here's something that's so unique that no one in the market is doing. We should maybe franchise this. It's our Hot News at 5, Hot News Live at 5, where Russell, a news director, does local, regional, national, and international news. The only radio station where you can get that between 5 and 6 o'clock. So that's an exclusive for the market. Now, at 1 o'clock, we have Laura Ingraham, 1 to 3, and then 3 to 5, the number 2 talk show host in America. It's always good to be number 2 because you try harder than to be number 1. When you're number 1, you get kind of lazy.
Avis.
There you go. And that's Sean Hannity. At 6 o'clock tonight, it's Tex. He's from Texas. You give it to you the hard way, man. He's going to tell you how to cowboy up. Brand new show that debuted last week that I'm going to tell you I wasn't too sure about, Bruce. As a matter of fact, I canceled it before it came on because they said Meghan McCain is the host of this new show. And I went, Meghan McCain is kind of a liberal Republican. John McCain is a liberal. And I talked to the network, the franchisor, the network that franchises this. And I said, I'm going to give her a shot because I like opposing points of view. And as long as she doesn't promote killing unborn children, we'll give her a shot. Well, now she's in the second week, and it's a great show. And there's no one that I've ever met that's more right-wing or conservative than me. But it's a good show, and it's on 7 to 10 at night. And our new morning show. So we have 3 females on the air here at this radio station.
It's awesome. Awesome.
Isn't that amazing? And guests like Bruce Krebs here to enlighten you. This is about helping you in your life's venture. That's what we're about. And that's what Bruce is about. I know he loves doing this. He and I had many personal conversations on this. He wants to help you. And don't say, well, yeah, because he's making money and he's going to charge. He's not going to charge you anything. It's free. He only gets paid when you get paid, when the business starts. So we're going to role play a little bit here at Hot News Talk Radio.
This is a mob mode. This is the mob mode. What kind of fool do you think I am? You think I know nothing of the
You give us 12 minutes and 4 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 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Hi, this is your computer speaking. I don't feel so well. It's like I've come down with a bug, and I'm getting slower.
Affordable Computers. We fix sick computers. Your hometown guys at Affordable Computers will repair your PC in half the time of the big boys at an affordable price. No tricks, no gimmicks, no computer speak technobabble. Just good, quick, and courteous affordable service and repairs. Want to affordably supercharge your PC? Affordable Computers on Highway 58. Affordable Computers hand builds all desktops in-house. If you're looking for a better-than-new refurb laptop, $150 will get you a Dell or another name brand at Affordable Computers. Affordable Computers, Highway 58, between Arby's and Taco Bell. Also Fort O, Battlefield Parkway, near Holcomb's. Affordable Computers, we service what we sell. Call 499-1975. That's 499-1975.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm feeling great. Supercharged.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Hi, I'm David Tulis, inviting you to make the move with me 9 to 11 a.m. weekdays here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. The David Tulis Show, featuring Nooganomics.com for Chattanooga and beyond. 9 to 11 a.m. weekdays.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Welcome back. It's the Entrepreneur Hour with Bruce Krebs here at Hot News Talk Radio at hotnewstalkradio.com. On terrestrial radio, we're at 1240. You can listen on your smartphone. Download the TuneIn radio app. And we're at Hot News Talk Radio. On Twitter, Hot News Talk Radio. We're just everywhere here at Hot News Talk Radio and hotnewstalkradio.com. I'm noticing, Bruce, more and more women listening to talk radio, which it was exclusively man's territory. And I'm looking at 25 to 40% listening to us. which means you have an audience out there. You have a woman out there that is tired of her job. I could just tell you this, and I don't mean to insult your men. If you're a guy, if you're sure you're a guy, okay, if you're absolutely sure you're a man, I don't mean to insult you, but even though we don't have any women working here because the opportunity hasn't arisen, but over the years, I find women to be harder workers than men.
Let me give you a little insight into that.
For some reason, they just work harder.
Let me give you some insight into that.
Okay.
Many people say, Bruce, why were you as successful as you were? And I have to tell you, my philosophy was, one, of course, promote from within. But two, my philosophy was most of the men that worked for me, my direct reports, were prima donnas. And so 80% of my direct reports and management team were women because they were good with detail. They were good with people, but the women would work 80 hour in a 40-hour week would give me 80 hours worth of work.
Give you 20.
Where most of the men in a 40-hour week may give me 25 or 30, and they're looking to leave at 2:00 on Friday to go play golf.
That's amazing.
Now, at the other hand, I understood that women needed time to pick up their kids, or when they're sick, stay home, or whatever it is. So we even put a daycare center into where women could bring their kids in. But if they had to go home or pick up kids early from school or whatever it is, I said, fine, I don't care as long as you get your job done. But the other thing, Sam, is I paid the women to work for me equally with men.
Yeah.
They didn't get more money. The men didn't get more money just because they were male instead of female. So I look at this in a whole different way of equality and why I did, and why as a CEO of a company, I was successful and my management team was successful because of not only the way I treated them, but the people that came in and who worked for me. And
the difference is if a man's running the office and you call him and want him to do something, you have to explain it in detail, like a schematic. And if a woman's working, and this is not being sexist, it's just my life experience, you can tell her what you want done and she'll figure it out and probably do it better than you could think.
Yeah, no question.
It just happens.
Yep.
It's because women have to multitask. So don't be afraid to take that step. You know, you're talking about a nurse, but there are male nurses now that if you're a woman, once again, sitting behind the desk and tired of doing what you're doing, don't be afraid to give Bruce a call and become an entrepreneur.
Well, you know, if you really think about that, right now, literally half of our workforce is women. It's been growing rapidly it's about 46% right now. Our workforce is women. And no question the glass ceiling has been broken. And where a lot of women used to be secretaries and administrative assistants and so forth, we're seeing more and more women business owners and more women executives, rising through the ranks because what we're just talking about is very relevant to corporate America today. So when you look at a woman in particular is extremely good in the franchising world because they're very good at following proven systems, where a lot of men, whether you're a type A personality or not, are going to say, well, I know better. I'm going to go do it my way. Where women understand policies, procedures, following a system and so forth. And that's why my clients have been female clients have been wildly successful. In fact, I'll give you in the last 13 years, I had a client that helped into business 6 years ago, and she has made more money per year than any client I've had in 13 years on a per year basis.
I had a pool guy.
Exactly.
But I wanted to ask how to add the chemicals, and he said, I'm not talking to you. I said, what do you mean? He says, if I tell a guy to add a quart, he adds 2. If I tell a woman to add a quart, she adds a quart. The guy thinks if the pill bottle says take 2, the guy takes 4, the woman takes 2.
Right, exactly.
Bruce, I heard you on the radio. I like what you said. I think I'm willing to take the plunge. First of all, how much do I have to pay you? And where do I go from here? I've always had ideas as to what I want to do to break away. I'm kind of nervous.
Well, the first answer to your question is you pay me absolutely nothing. And it's not because it's too good to be true, but if a headhunter gets you a job, you don't have to pay the headhunter anything. I am not a broker. In other words, if you look at a real estate transaction with a broker, it says what the real estate salesperson gets paid. It's not that. In my case, you're going to pay a franchise fee. I get a portion of that. but it's public knowledge what that franchise fee is. So if a franchise fee is $20,000, I get a portion of that. But if you go directly to that franchisor through me, you still know what it is. It's still going to be $20,000. So,
but you have to be successful
anyway.
too. You have to be successful too. That if my business fails, you in essence have failed. So you have to be successful in guiding me into what is going to help me.
Well, I'll tell you where that resonates, and that resonates because I built my business on referrals, and I continue to get a tremendous amount of referrals from people I've helped as they're successful. And someone comes in and says, "How did you get into this business?" And it's like, "Well, Bruce Krebs helped me in this business." And they say, "Well, hey, I want to talk to him." Now, I just had a client come in yesterday who met with me 5 years ago. He decided to go a different direction, but he really appreciated the fact that he's sleeping better at nights because he understands what's out there. Because if you really think about the average person that's working in corporate America today, male or female, what wakes you up in the middle of the night? What wakes you up in the middle of the night is, what if there's a downsizing? What happens if my bosses change? What happens if we're acquired? What happens if I get a pink slip tomorrow? What am I going to do the rest of my life? Or what if the company's not making money and they go out of business, or I don't get my bonus, or this litany of stuff wakes us up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. And what I do is, if you come to me, I'm going to at least let you know what's out there, so that if you want to do something on your own, then and you end up, what I basically do is I'm going to work with you until I find you the right opportunity. Then you can decide if you want to do it now, in 6 months, a year, or never. But if the answer is never, if you ever get downsized or want to quit or take that pink slip, you're going to know you can come back to me and I can help you find the right opportunity at that time.
Bruce Krebs, Entrepreneur Hour at Hot News Talk Radio. Your website is?
www.thesource.com/bkrebs, Krebs.
And your phone number, Bruce?
423-875-5621 for anybody who would like a free assessment.
And once again, your website, that's real important.
It's www.the@entrepreneursource.com/B as in Bruce Krebs, Krebs.
And we'll see Bruce in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Thank you.
This is the Entrepreneur Hour with Bruce Krebs at Hot News Talk Radio at 12:40 a.m. and hotnewstalkradio.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT